In our last video, we started a new series called Best Summer Ever. We talked about creating a youth group atmosphere, a youth group culture that is irresistible to people. Essentially, we established if NCC students' content is the place that you come to connect with Jesus, if this is the place where you experience and understand who Jesus is and what he's done, then you should share that. You shouldn't keep it to yourself. We're assuming that if youth group is a fun, encouraging, and spiritually challenging part of your life, then you should share that with the people you care about. Don't just tell them about it, but invite them to come see what it's all about for themselves. We're calling this series Best Summer Ever because we're going to do things a little differently this summer. We've created different in-person gatherings that we think gives each of our friends the best opportunity to come and experience Jesus this summer. Our hope is that the events wouldn't just be about you, but they'd be about all your friends who need to come and experience a place where they belong, where they'll be encouraged and where they'll be challenged to take their next steps. There's going to be a graphic on the screen that gives you information about each of our events, but let me give you a quick rundown. We're going to have 3 different large group gatherings this summer. Summer Kickoff on June 19th, Midsummer Connection on July 31st, and then Summer Finale on August 28th. Each of these in-person gatherings is an opportunity not just for you to join us and have a great time, but for you to invite your friends to come experience Jesus. We're also going to have 5 mini groups this summer on Wednesday evenings. At mini groups, we're going to discuss important social, theological, and political issues. If you've got questions about what it means to follow Jesus in our current social climate, then mini groups are for you. These events are designed for each of us to invite our friends to come experience who Jesus is and what he's done for them. Now, maybe you're thinking something like this. You're full of it, Jake. How are people supposed to experience Jesus at an event like Summer Kickoff? You're just trying to promote your event so it can be bigger. And you ask a valid question, but I want to ask you this. Why couldn't your friend experience Jesus at an event like Summer Kickoff? Why couldn't they experience Jesus eating pizza, playing Foursquare, and winning prizes? What if you invited your friend who's never been to church before and they come and they genuinely have a good time? What if their experience at Summer Kickoff was the thing that opened their heart and their mind to coming back in the future? And what if, over the course of 4 or 5 or 6 in-person gatherings, they start to experience Jesus through the teaching, through the worship, through small groups, friendship, fun, and games? Hopefully you see the point I'm trying to make here. We're going to have the best summer ever because I believe these events and these mini groups are going to open the door for people to come and experience Jesus in ways they never have before. Here's our main idea. Here's the thing I want you to remember. No one will ever experience Jesus at NCC students unless you invite them. No one will ever experience Jesus at NCC students unless you invite them. When we gather in person, I'm going to do my best to preach the gospel each and every week. Our worship team is going to do their best to lead our hearts in worship well. Our small group leaders are committed to investing in your life. But none of that matters if we don't create a culture that people find irresistible. But I want to add to that, an irresistible culture is completely pointless unless you invite people to come experience it. We can do everything possible to be welcoming, to be fun, challenging, encouraging, even life-changing, but it will never matter unless we invite people to come experience it with us. No one will ever experience Jesus at NCC students unless you invite them. Here's the reality. Creating an irresistible culture, inviting your friends, is never going to happen as long as you keep making your life only about you. If youth group is only a place that you come when you feel like it, if you only come when you hear that we're going to play a game that you like, if you threaten to leave when things aren't meeting your ideal preferences, if youth group is all about you, then it can never be about Jesus. Let me say that again because some of you need to hear it. If youth group is all about you, then it can never be about Jesus. I could take it a step further. If your life is all about you, then it can never be about Jesus. Here's the hard truth some of us need to hear. Your selfishness, my selfishness, your desire to have everything your way and your crappy attitude when it doesn't end up that way is actively getting in the way of other people experiencing Jesus. Have you ever thought about that? That when you make your life all about you, you get in the way of other people meeting Jesus. And when you make youth group all about you, you get in the way of people experiencing him here. Paul in Romans chapter 10 wrote these words, "Everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved." How then can they call on the one they've not believed in? And how can they believe in the one of whom they have not heard? And how can they hear without someone preaching to them? And how can anyone preach unless they are sent? You're all being sent. You're all being challenged and encouraged to share the good news of Jesus. You're all being challenged to create an irresistible culture and invite everyone to come experience it for themselves. You're all being sent because no one will ever experience Jesus here unless you invite them. As we close this video, I want to give you 3 quick tips for inviting your friends to our in-person gatherings. Number 1, don't give up. One of the biggest things I hear when people talk about inviting their friends is something like this. I've already tried inviting them and they said no. Or they said they'd be here and then they bailed last minute. Who cares? I know it's easy to get discouraged when people say no. I know it's easy to feel awkward asking them again, but don't give up. Who cares they said no the first time? Who cares that they bailed at the last minute? None of that changes the fact that they need to experience the good news of Jesus. Tip number 2, want something for people, not just something from them. How many of you have ever been invited to another youth group, a fundraiser, or some other event? We all have, right? And isn't it always obvious when the person inviting us just wants something from us? It's always obvious, and it's the worst feeling. It's the worst feeling when someone you barely know all of the sudden acts like you have the best relationship in the world, so you'll come to their event or fundraiser or whatever it is. Don't be that person. Want something for people, not something from them. Invite people you truly care about and have a relationship with. Show people that you care for them. Tip number 3, keep it simple and be specific. People are dumb. When you invite someone to something, keep it simple and be specific. You don't need to tell somebody your whole life story to invite them to an event. There's a time and a place to share your story, but it's almost never when you're initially inviting someone. Keep it simple and be specific about the time, the place, and the purpose of the event and what they stand to gain by coming with you. And remember, the point of all of this isn't to have a big, exciting, self-glorifying event. The point is that this could be the thing that encourages someone to keep coming back. And when they keep coming back, then they're that much closer to coming back into the arms of Jesus. Don't give up. Want something for people, not just from them. Keep it simple and be specific. I know inviting other people can be stressful. I know it can be intimidating. But if you know the power of a relationship with Jesus, then you should share that with everyone. And inviting your friends to come experience an in-person gathering might be the first step on their journey of coming to know Jesus.